Hello and welcome to another one of our tack tutorial series here. In this video we're going to talk about how to edit a material in Pantora. Now we've been working with this blue diamond vinyl material and it's done post-processing. So as you can see here, it's completed through that. So now we're actually going to be able to go into the editor tab and start working with our AXF. So if we hop into here, I already have it loaded in, but if you need to, you just click and let go and drop it into there and it'll load into that. So you can see here that we have our diffuse, and so this will be our original and this will be our edited. I have it on tiled here so that way we can see how well our tile is going, because that's the big purpose in this editor, is to bring it so that way it is tileable, or if you don't need to worry about tiling, to crop it down and make it more of a seamless type of a texture. So for this material we are going to enable cropping because we're going to need that to be able to get a nice seamless tile. So for this material I'm going to go ahead and bring it in like so and pull it in like that. So that's pretty good. You can see here along the edges that we are pretty close to having the actual texture, not the coloration, but the actual pattern going on to be tiled. And we'll fine tune that a little bit more when we want to make the material seamless. But our crop is looking pretty good. If for whatever reason you have any distortion going on in your material where you're not able to make a square or a rectangle, you just hold the control button down and you'll see that shift to that, and you can individually adjust each corner. So if you have a little bit of like a pull in the fabric and you need to bring that in just a hair, you can do so, and that will make the corrections in that. Obviously this material is not like that, so we can just have it be like so. But as you can see, we don't have perfect coloring going on here, so that's where the gradient removal tool comes in. So we're going to go ahead and enable that and select diffuse color because that's the map that we're on. It'll default at 15%. Oftentimes that's all you'll need to do, but you can adjust that manually as well. Now if I scroll out here a little bit, for the most part it's looking pretty good. You can't see along the seams. You can see a little bit here where there's a little bit darker, and then there's a little bit of a lighter streak in here, and that's just in the actual material. So if I wanted to, I could bring this down to say 12%, and that helps get rid of it a little bit more. So I'm going to call that good there. The next material, or the next map, excuse me, is a normal map. So we're going to need to enable that on the sky as well. 15 does, again, a pretty good job, but I think I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. I will bring it down to like 10%. And maybe 8% looks pretty good. We'll go with 8%. So the next map is the Specular. This one, again, you can really see it's a little darker over here, and then it gets lighter on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and get that guy out, and that looks pretty great at 15. Roughness, that's pretty good. Isotropic rotation. This one, we're not going to be able to do much adjustment. You turn that on, you're not going to see any difference with that one. So you don't have to worry about that guy in this map. But on the height, we can definitely see quite a bit. So we're going to need to tone that guy down. And let's bring it to 10. We might even need to bring it to like 8. Now you can still see in the corners here, but I'm going to go ahead and make my material seamless, because what that's going to do is that's going to begin to overlap our material on top of itself on the option that we're probably going to use, which will be the min cut. So that might resolve some of that, but we'll double check. So if we enable this, so you can already see we got rid of some of it. You can see if we zoom in here, you can see this sawtooth that's going on. So the program is trying to generate a seamless tile. So we'll have to do some manual adjustments in that. Some of the other ways to do it is to make it a rectangular cut here. So not too bad, but what that's going to do is it's going to keep the size the exact same, where in this one you're actually having some direct overlap on the edges. Then there's the texture synthesis, which will make the material larger, and in this case it's going to be trying to synthesize its own repeat by taking chunks of it, as you can see, and generate. But for this one, we're just going to go with the straight min cut. So with the size of this, we can go ahead and bring this guy, and you can adjust the horizontal and vertical individually. But for this one, we don't want linear blend, we want min cut. For this one, because we have pretty much a square, we should be pretty safe just to bring it in. Now this material isn't this map, excuse me, isn't the best to try and line this up. We're going to want to probably jump over to normals. Yeah, normal we're going to be able to see. So at 13%, we're looking pretty good. It's hard to determine where any seams are along the edges. So that's looking pretty solid. And that should hopefully look pretty good as well in the diffuse and any of our other maps. Now we were having a little bit of a problem with the height map, so we might bring this guy down to 5. We're still getting a little bit of that, but if we go ahead and save our material, and because I loaded it already in the viewer, it's going to ask me if you want to update it, and I do. So we can see this is without any changes to it, and once it loads it in, we'll be able to see all the changes that we've made, and hopefully it will look pretty seamless. And there we go, it's loaded in, and as you can see, you really can't tell where any seams are. I'm looking specifically for any noticeable, but it looks pretty solid, so I would say that's a pretty successful tile and gradient removal overall. Now if you want to, you could switch over to the point light here, and if we clicked on this icon, we can actually control where our light source is coming from, so we can really see how the light is reacting to all of our maps. So we're looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and pop back into our environment map, and I'm going to load in one of our other HDR maps here, and we'll go ahead and load this guy in. And in the viewer, you can load in as well other objects. So any OBJ, you can bring it in, and so you can see it on something other than the default blob. But here we go, our HDR has been loaded in, and so now we're looking at it in this lighting of environment, and it's looking pretty good. So there you go, that is how you have imported your material into, not imported, but you have measured and post-processed your material through the TAC 7 and have edited it through Pantora, and now you actually have a nice tileable and usable AXF file.